Over 2,800 people have made it into the 2 Comma Club by making at least $1 million in their business. And you get the opportunity to understand exactly how it is that they have done it on an individual by individual basis through this podcast. If you're interested in learning more about the tidbits and advice that they have, then you should consider subscribing to the 2 Comma Club newsletter, where you'll get daily updates and advice on the podcast and the things that we are learning from the individuals who have made at least $1 million. Just go to 2ccnewsletter.com or click the link in the description down below and subscribe. Welcome back to the 2 Comma Club podcast. Today we are here with a special guest, Jason Wojo. Jason, we got connected on Instagram and I see you're up to some amazing things today in the ad space. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about what it is that you do and how you got started in doing ads.
Yeah, dude. First off, thanks for having me. This is exciting. I always love doing these podcasts and coming on, just like dropping some value for everybody. So, like you said, Jason Wojo, I'm a 9-figure advertiser. We run ads at Wojo Media for service-based business owners, coaches, consultants, home service, e-com stores, affiliate marketing, telehealth. We have a lot of partnerships too with a lot of telehealth companies, also like entrepreneur communities as well. We do a lot of like coaching as well for people who are trying to get their offers off the ground. So we always have product and services for everybody, regardless of where they're at in their sales process, because there's people who are ready for an agency and people who are not. And there's a lot of times where people call us and they're like, "Oh, I want to run ads. Can you guys do it?" I'm like, "Dude, you're not ready for an agency." So they don't really believe that because it's weird because I run an agency and I'm anti-agency and I run one. And I'll get more into that later on in this episode for sure. And then recently we made the Inc. 5000 list. I've been doing this for 6 years and like it's been really tough to grow an agency. It's hands down one of the hardest models, regardless of what people say or think. Like most of the offers you see online are all biz op oriented. It's like, hey, you want to make 10K a month, start an SMMA. But to actually build the right like systems and leadership and people in an agency and be able to service hundreds of clients at the same time, very, very hard. So I'm really thankful that everything worked out for that better part of it. But yeah, I started my journey about 6-7 years ago. I was in New York at the time. I was in culinary school. I dropped out of culinary school. I hated it. I realized that I didn't want to make $15 an hour. So I was very rebellious back then. And also at that same time, about a year before that, I like had to take human growth hormone because I didn't grow like everybody else. So like during my high school days, I was a big basketball recruit back in 9th grade to about like 11th grade. And I still play basketball this very day. It's like probably my favorite thing to do, hands down. And I was getting recruited and all this fun jazz. And like everybody was growing in high school and I didn't grow. I never hit puberty in high school. So I had to basically accelerate it with human growth hormone. I was 4'11", 75 pounds. And I was like, wow, like this kind of sucks because my parents put like a lot of time and money into basketball. Like my parents didn't make a lot of money. We probably made like 70, 80 grand a year. And dude, like living in New York, that's not a lot of money. So it was this like tough role that my dad and my mom played to like kind of push me to play basketball. And we were trying so hard, dude, and it just like didn't work out. Which kind of sucks. So like that's like one of my biggest life lessons is like you can attach your identity to what happened when you were a kid. A lot of people will get into entrepreneurship and they're like, yeah, I used to be this great football player. And like I could sell anybody because I played football. I'm like, dude, you're not in the NFL. No one gives a shit. So like it's just a funny thing that people lose their identities to. And the other thing was like no one's gonna listen to you unless like you and this could be controversial, but like no one's gonna listen to you unless you have money. Regardless, like you could be big, you could be muscular, like that's cool, but no one's gonna listen to you unless you like show up and you just have money and authority and status. Like no one's gonna listen to you. So when I didn't grow and I didn't get to play basketball at the level that I wanted to, like no one listened to me. Everyone was like, like forget it. Next. And like that's when I realized that I had to do something about it. So that's where I really went into the business world with kind of like this fierce mentality of I just want people to hear what I have to say because I feel like I'm smart and I know what I have to offer. I think that it's great. So that's when I started getting into social media marketing. I moved back in with my parents to go to business school instead because while I was dropping out of culinary school, I was flipping Pokemon cards online. So I was doing that as a side hustle. I was probably making like $200 a week. Nothing crazy, but like, dude, to a college student, that's a crap ton of money. So $200 a week. I was, flipping cards, going back and forth from Walmart, Target, CVS, trying to pull all the packs I could. And that was also a time in my life where like I was done with my HGH injections. I grew really rapidly and I was actually like now more sociable. Like obviously when you're 4'11", women don't want to talk to you. So once I got to like 5'10", 5'11" ish, now I'm 6'1", but like when I was 5'10", 5'11", I was being social. I was making up for all the lost time. And that's why I value my time so much right now, because I lost a lot of it when I was younger. Like, it's just the thing about, being small like that. You don't get invited to shit. Like, no one's like, hey, come over for a party. Like, everyone's like, yo, go play Xbox. Like, it's just a different conversation. So, while I was in business school, I was making videos online talking about how, like, college didn't really teach me much. Like, I'm only here to make my parents happy. This brand hit me up called Hustle Island. They were making these shirts, like, said hustle, legacy, patience on them. And, like, within the actual letters were small mini words of, like, motivation. And we did a free plus shipping offer on Facebook and Instagram ads, and that's when I started learning all about that stuff. And his name was Greg Berry at the time, still one of my really good friends. And I don't know, we were spending like $2,000 to $3,000 a day on Facebook, which was a very big bubble for me because I never saw that kind of money my entire life. So like that was kind of a weird money block I had to get over. And then we took it to like 21,000 paying customers, and then he sold it. And then from there, he was like, "Hey, dude, like, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "Honestly, man, like." I went on a cruise when I was a kid, and I was like, I'm going to move somewhere where there's palm trees because I thought palm trees were cool. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go to Orlando. Like, fuck it. So, Greg was like, hey, man, like, here's like 1 month's rent. Like, just go, like, figure out your life. And it wasn't, it was $700. Like, it's not going to fucking change my life. So I was like, all right, cool. Like, I'll go to Orlando. So I went to this house. It was a college dorm house. I was living with four of the people who were in college, two were in med school. Like it wasn't a crazy big party house, but it was fun, dude. I got very sociable. I learned a lot of social, like also socially economic skills too. Finally getting my own groceries and all this other stuff. So yeah, it was wild. And then, dude, from there, I just like went really hard on cold outreach and posting content. I grew the business organically for about 2 years. And then, from there, I went to this one event that Greg got me a ticket to because he couldn't go, and it was about low ticket offers. And I was like, all right, like, what's a low ticket offer? So I go there, and they start talking about how you could sell scripts and templates and fill in the blank stuff. And I was like, huh. So then I went back home, and I was like, yo, I'm going to just drop ad templates, like show people my best winning ads and put it in template format so people can use it. And this was like, maybe I got lucky with this. I don't really classify it as luck. I'm not going to lie. This freaking funnel took me so long to make. It took me like a month and a half to make. And I was paying my friend Dave Hernandez like $800 a month as one of my guys on payroll. And like he was helping me with the funnel. We went in Canva, made 100 freaking different ad templates with 3 slides each. It was a 296 page Canva thing. And like we dropped the ad templates, and dude, my life changed within like 3 weeks. We went from like 20 something thousand a month, and I made like 600 grand in 3 weeks running this offer. It was actually stupid. So it was a $17 template with a bunch of upsells, and then I would upsell them on the back end on the calendar to like coaching, which was like 4,800 or 6,800 bucks. And like I would get about 13 calls a day, and I would close like 11. It was just freaking insane. And like that's when like my life actually like completely took a 360. And then that's when I was like, all right, I'm gonna move to Tampa now. And then we got this house, and the rent was so freaking expensive. And then I just put my back against the wall, and then I just kept growing, growing, growing. And then now we're here, and that's really it. But I was a solopreneur for a while. I was a solopreneur for about 2.5, 3 years because I had this big fear about hiring other people. I just like couldn't get over it. I was just scared to do it. And Dave was not really like a hire. Dave was like a contractor. Dave was somebody who I knew he had other clients, and yeah, like $800 a month. Yeah, he couldn't live off that. He had like 5 other clients, but he used to come over like once or twice a week and help me out with shit. So it was just hard, dude. And then, as soon as I had more cash flow, then I was like, all right, let's get a big team. Let's get a, CFO, let's get a CMO, all this stuff. And then from there, I just turned into the personal brand. So I'm just like front facing. Um, and then, yeah, dude, like we got the this thing, and then we got the other one too, which is the 10 million one. So we got both now, and like it's kind of cool that you named the show after that, because dude, it's like such a big difference going from 7 to 8 figures. Like it's so hard, and I thought it would be easy. I was like, oh, we'll just run more ad spend, like that'll be easy. And then I realized that like while you're spending all this money on ads, like people quit and your fucking marketing manager gets pregnant, and then all these weird things happen, and then like she's on paternity leave, and then you have to rehire somebody, then you have to go through 25 interviews, and while you're going on 25 interviews, 3 clients need freaking urgent assistance, and you're too busy on calls all day because you didn't hire a salesperson. Like all this shit's going on, and it's just like it's just harder than it looks. So yeah.
Before we got on, we were talking about life, and life happens. We were supposed to have this podcast last week with you, Jason. Just things happen, like you said, life happens. But I think that's really what I heard in your story, which I love your story, by the way, is that you kept going. You didn't say, hey, look, I'm 4'11", I'm done, I'm just going to give up. Or, hey, I don't understand, I'm at my parents' house, I'm trying to do $200 a week in Pokemon cards. You just kept going. And I think that's part of the story is you just keep going. You just keep trying to figure it out and plugging through. And that's my story. I know John's story is very similar. Probably most people listening in, same thing. So what are
Yeah,
you doing now? Obviously, your story's changing. Like, how are you connecting with people now? Obviously, you're the attractive character. You're the face of things, which I love your videos, by the way, how it talks about mindset a lot. A lot of your videos are about mindset. I think that's critical. So what are you doing nowadays to kind of connect with people and nurture that mindset and you being the attractive character, if you don't mind sharing?
yeah. I mean, the biggest thing now with the and dude, what you said has so much validity to it is that people want tactical stuff. Like I can go on a podcast, and it's just the brutal truth. I can go on a podcast and I can tell you how your landing page should look and how your ad should look. But to be honest, like no one's going to do anything about it because they just need mindset, and mindset's hard to sell because it's like this. Like it's not fake, but I use this word very loosely. But it's like it's a fugazi. It's like you tell someone to be motivated, and you just expect them to be motivated. It's just not the way the world works. And it's just hard to get that persona out of people. So for me to go tactical also develops overwhelmingness. So you could overwhelm the audience, which is what people use to sell stuff. They overwhelm the audience to then sell. But like, if you don't have the right mindset, you can't buy anything anyway. So it's like, where is this even balance? And like how I connect with people now, man, it's all about just like, yeah, being the face is cool, but now everyone expects a ton of stuff from you. Like my expectations that are preset on me are just like so freaking high. Like it's just like I get on a call with Wojo, I'm expecting blah 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 blah, and like, dude, you have to like literally go 100% every single day. Sometimes 105, 110% every single day, and it's like sometimes you just like have to take a day off and you want to take a break, or you're just tired, or something's bothering you, or like, there's stuff personally. People look at the face of what I do and they just expect the business side of me all the time, which is a good and a bad thing at the same time. Because good for business growth, okay, but bad for like hard to make personal connections. Like if I go out to dinner, it's very hard for someone to rear away from the fact that I'm this big public figure. Every conversation is about money or business or ads or some other shit. Like it's hard to sit there and be like, yeah, dude, like, do you enjoy throwing the ball around at the park? Like, do you enjoy going to a Diamondbacks game? Like, why do you like that show so much? The conversations are, yeah, man, this client bothering me, blah blah blah, like trying to get this funnel up. Like that's how the conversations are. So it's actually not as enjoyable as people think. You have to even out the balance by actually being okay with being more lonely. I know that's weird, but like you have to be more comfortable with yourself because there's going to be times where like you're surrounded by all the business stuff, all the filtration, and you have to be okay with just like being alone for a little bit, which I enjoy, dude. Like I got my house, I just got my house here in Phoenix, and like, dude, I like just being in here working. I'm more motivated than ever to work and have my own little like sanctuary. Like I can play my music, I can walk around the house, I can do whatever the fuck I want to. Like it's a free thing. Like I can do whatever the hell I want. I can walk outside, I can play basketball in the backyard. I got my the ice bath. I got my sauna. Like it's relaxing. I like cigars. I got my whole cigar set up. Like I have all this stuff in my backyard. So I think being okay with being lonely was a huge superpower for me because I was so like being younger, dude, I was kind of needy. I'm not going to lie because no one wanted to listen to me. So I was always needy for attention. And then like I got into the online space and that was all day trading attention. So I think it kind of aligned. And that's why some of my content gets controversial because I know that it works. Like I know that getting people fired up is what gets more views and gets more engaging and gets shared more. And it's just like, but as far as making connections, man, a lot of it is through like networking events. A lot of it is through people just approaching me, doing podcasts. Like I've done probably over 150 podcasts by now. It's been like really cool doing this stuff. And it just builds better connections over time. Like there's podcasts that I've done 3-4 years ago, and people hit me up now and they're like, dude, I run this medical clinic. I need you to do my stuff. And I was like, oh, cool. I was on your podcast 4 years ago. Like it's about building connections and then relationships. And then it alludes into, okay, who's top of mind? When people are like, when you, the audience, is top of mind in someone's head, you win every day of the week. You just do. And it's like, you got to look at it like sports too. And that's the way I looked at it. Like, you're either number one or you're freaking last. Like, it's so hard to get all the camaraderie. Like, you're either the guy in town who's getting recruited or you're just the dude who plays the bench, even though you're a starter. Like, it's literally, it's one side or the other. And when I thought about ads and advertising, I was like, hey, if I want to do this thing correct, like, I want to be the person that when you go on Google and search ads, like, I'm going to come up. There's just no way that you go on Instagram and I don't come up. So that was the whole point of it, was like, I just need to push harder. And through that, through more reach, through more awareness, like, you'll just build more connections with the right people, because you don't have to talk to everybody. Like, people are under this connotation that, like, being the figure means that you have to always, like, plead to everyone's wishes. Like, there's a lot of DMs that I don't answer. There's a lot of people I don't want to talk to because I like my solitude. Like, it's enjoyable to me. So making sure that I keep relationships sacred is more important for my own, like, sphere of influence than just, like, trying to please everybody. Because that's another thing that I was struggling with for probably a year or 2 years, is like, I felt like I had to answer everyone and, freaking please everybody because it was like my duty and it was customer service to do so. And now I realize that, like, literally, dude, like, it does not matter at all, because the right people will go to you, and that's just the way it is. You can't force things.
Amen to that. That's so true. I find that a lot of times, as I've spoken with a lot of the people who have been on the podcast so far, one of the most recurring themes that I see is that 80% of the results that people get come from 20% of what they do. And in the reality, if you really want to make sure that you're getting that 80% of your results in life, period, it doesn't come from saying yes. It comes from saying no. So you can spend the time doing what you have to do that is your 20%. So with that in mind, like, what are some of the things that you've had to overcome during your journey, just through life, of like learning to say no to certain things, and what were they in order to leave room for you to do the stuff that is your 20%?
Yeah, so, like, dude, crazy story. This just happened 2 days ago. So, like, I'm not going to say names, but I had this guy who was referred to me, and he runs like 50 medical clinics. And he does telehealth for these medical clinics, and these medical clinics, they buy it from him. So it's like a done for you health clinic. It's like 50 grand a pop. It's cool. It's a good business model. Then he takes a percentage. It's pretty sick. This guy wanted to get up for a meeting. So I was like, all right, it's Sunday. Like, all right. So I go to the meeting because I figure, like, dude, if I can close this, like, this is going to be a pretty big deal. So I go there, and it's 12 o'clock, and he's like, hey, I'm going to be 10 minutes late. I'm like, all right, that's fine. 10 minutes late. And then I'm sitting in the parking lot. My car's on. And I'm just like, because it's so damn hot in Phoenix, bro, you can't just turn your car off. Okay? You can't just be like, yeah, fuck it. No. It's 112 degrees outside. You're going to die. So I'm sitting in the car, like, I'm in my Aston Martin, which gets like 8 miles a gallon. So I'm like literally just wasting gas in this parking lot. So I'm sitting there, and it's 12:15. I'm like, all right, I'll give him 5 minutes. And then it's 12:23. And I was like, bro, I'm out. This is not even worth my time anymore. So I just drove away. And the guy calls me. He's like, bro, why'd you drive away? And I was like, dude, you told me 12 o'clock. I'm sitting here 12:23. Like, why would I sit here longer? He's like, oh, I have a 3-year-old. Like that's just the way life is. I'm like, where's your wife? Oh, she was sleeping in. Like, what the fuck? Then she's not doing her duties. Like, what is going on right now? You have a business meeting to go to. Like, and I alluded to the fact, like, all the things in my life that I want to get done. Landscaping, the freaking dishes, whatever. Like, I just pay someone to do it. Like, why am I doing shit that I shouldn't be doing if I'm focused on path and purpose as an actual man? Like, yeah, I get being a father as a thing, but when you commit to something, that's a commitment, right? Regardless of what it is. So I drive away. I just wind up going home. And while I'm going home, he was like really mad. He was like, oh, like, who do you think you are? Like, you just want to leave and go home. And I was like, dude, like, to be honest, bro, I really don't need the money. Like, I don't want people to waste my goddamn time. Like, I just drove here on a Sunday. First of all, I went from Scottsdale to Glendale, which is a 35-minute drive. So I'm going there 35 minutes. I got to drive 35 minutes back. It's an hour and 10 minutes in the car with an 8-mile-a-gallon car. So I got to fill up fucking twice. So it's like, dude, I'm doing all this. And then it's like, all of a sudden, he's like, you know what, dude? Like, I get it. And I was like, I'm like, dude, there's no hard feelings, but like, here's our packages. You could just pick whatever you want. Cause like, we could have just done this an easy way and you could have just pulled out your credit card. We'd have made this a lot simpler. And then he's like, all right, put me on your biggest package. And I was like, that's what it took to sell you, was saying no. And then he winds up paying while I'm in the car driving back home. So I like sent him the invoice link and he paid. I was like, bro, why the hell do we have a meeting then? We could have just paid. And then he's like, hey, let's bring on our 50 health clinics into your business. And I was like, bro, 50 health clinics, we can't onboard 50 all at once. So I was like, all right, we'll do 4 to 5 a month. And I sent him the agreement yesterday and he signed. For anyone who's wondering, that's $5,600 a month times 50. That's a $250,000 a month deal. And I did that by saying no, by pissing someone off. And that was the funniest shit ever. And like, it's just this thing where you can't be afraid to say no in a place of like, dude, you have to fight for what's right. The same way people do politics is the same way I think about my own time. Like, people will fight for the right to say whatever the hell they want. Well, it's the same thing with your time. Like, dude, respect your own time. If you respect your own time, you're going to validate things a lot better too, inside of your life, personally, mentally, psychologically. Like, there's so many other facets, not just financial. And I think that people are just afraid to say no because they don't want to piss people off, because they feel like if they are lonely, then they're going to resent themselves and they're going to resent their decisions and they're going to be unconfident moving forward.
Yeah, I think that leads into my next question. I appreciate your honesty there, Jason. I think value, and obviously if you have something of value, there's a video I saw a long, long time ago, and a guy's in New York City handing out $20 bills on the street corner. And nobody will take his money. They just won't take it. They think it's a scam or he's trying to take advantage of them. But I think you have this value and you want to give it away. And obviously you had the value in that situation. And you're like, I know my time's worth it. I'm not going to hang around here. You know, we had meeting, we had time set up. I think that's important. My word, so how are you with what you're doing? I see a lot of value in your videos with the mindset and things you're doing. What are you offering? What's kind of the value you think is your most important asset you have, or what your company's offering value wise? Because anybody can get an ad. I mean, you can go to 100 different agencies and do ads, but what do you think's the value you guys are providing, or you're providing in particular, that really just sets up success for you guys?
Yeah, dude, biggest thing with the ad space is that most agencies I don't know if you guys have ever worked with one, but like, most people get let down by an agency, and there's actually a reason why. And I'm not perfect. Our success rate's like 84%, 83%. I got to look at my Google sheet, but it's not terrible. It's actually very high, actually. So like, the biggest thing with advertising is this: people sell the wrong shit to the wrong people. Okay. You want to pay $3,000 a month? Cool. Here's an invoice. But like, dude, you're not qualified yet. I don't know anything about your business yet. I don't know if you have a salesperson. I don't know if you have anything. Is your ad account shut down? Are you good on video? Are you willing to record video ads, etc.? Agencies will sell you because you want the thing done for you hands off. That's what people wanted for years, and they still do, because people are just fucking lazy, man. It's just the truth. So when we look at the approach of selling people, we have multiple products to productize so that we're not selling the wrong shit to the wrong persons. For example, like, I'm not going to get into prices, but if you have your own marketing team in-house, we're not going to sell you agency services. We have something called the inner circle, which is where you can bring your current marketing person and just let them train with me. It's better for me to do that than to add on a massive amount of payroll every single month. So, number one, it's not a scam. Number two is it's productized to you. And number three is you're not going to be mad because they're going to learn a lot of shit from it. So that's one productized. Or you're a solopreneur who has no idea how to run traffic. You want to learn it yourself, and you're like in this lost in the sauce thing where you want access, support, and results. And you want to get on the right path. So then we have a one-on-one program where I work with somebody. And like, that's what a lot of people buy. 80% of our buyers buy that. Like, it's actually insane. I didn't expect that. I mean, yeah, I did, but like, I didn't expect 80%. I expected like a 60-20-20 split. So the one-on-one is people who just like, they want to learn ads better. They want me to literally tell them what their offer should be, what their customer journey is, and map out their whole entire sales process and all these things that actually beat the learning curve. Because you go to an agency and you have no data, you're going to get scammed. Like if you go to an agency and you expect them to be like, yeah, we're just going to rip shit out of thin air, it's not going to happen. And that's where people don't like agencies, because they go to an agency and they're like, oh, they got me a ton of leads, but I didn't close any. Well, here's the problem. You sucked at sales and no one told you that. No one told you how to nurture leads, because you have zero annual revenue and you never even done business before. No shit, you didn't close anybody. So, and then we have business owners who are already spending money on ads. They can go on a call with us and say, hey, we're spending $200 a day. Here's our return on ad spend. Here's our conversion rates. What can you guys do? That's a done for you client. That is not someone who goes to coaching or group. There's someone who literally is like, yo, handoff, done for you. Cool. You qualify because you have data and you're already spending money and you have a setter maybe and you can spend $200 a day. You can't be stupid if you can spend $200 a day. So that's where the whole thing is divvied up. And the biggest reason why we've had more success is because we don't just run your ads. We built out multiple departments for multiple facets of the business. So your offers, we have strategy leads who are trained in making offers for people. We have customer journey. We have your landing page. We do your copy. We do your creatives. We even have a content team who can fly out to you on an extra charge, obviously, but like they can go film your ads. And then we have KPIs. We have Josh and Manny who run our GHL team, the CRMs, like all your lead nurtures, your text messages, tagging, your pipeline, all that management is inside of the packages too. So like, it's not just, hey, send us your Facebook shit and we're just going to run your ads. That's not what it is. And that's where most people get burned. The problem is that people like, and we do a qualifier with it because our prices are higher. So you want to work with us? Cool. It's going to cost you more because we have all these other facets. Also, we just put on an SEO department. We have a viral video content team. So like where you can take, for example, these podcasts, they get chopped up. We take the best hooks. We edit it with subtitles, cool ass graphics. We post it for you. And you can add it on as an add-on during your onboarding. Like there's so many facets that we give people value from, not just ads. We also do email marketing. Like we do so many services to where you can't come on our ecosystem and be like, yeah, you guys don't offer shit. We offer sales training. Like, we do so many things. So where if you come into our ecosystem and you fail, it's because you didn't want to spend money. That's literally it. You just didn't want to spend the money and you just weren't willing to put in the work. And it's like, dude, it's just sad because people don't like agencies. And it's funny that because, and this is the biggest thing that I see in the space, dude. And it's funny because we have a good Google ratings, regardless of not having a 5-star or not. We have a 4.7, 4.8. For everybody who gets on a sales call that says, oh, you guys don't have 5 stars. Like, dude, are you stupid? You don't understand how hard it is to get 5 stars 6 years in a row. You don't understand how hard that is. People don't realize because they don't run a real business. They're psychotic. So, like, if you go to your local Walmart or Target, go on Google right now and search Walmart, Target, and your local gas station. Bro, they all have 4.1, 4.2, 3.7, 3.8. They're shit. Your favorite restaurant, we have better ratings than that. But you still are like, oh, you guys got a 4.7, 4.8. Like, I think we're going to find somebody else. No. You are just afraid to pull out your credit card because you're scared to spend money. Like, dude, people come up with these weird fallacies to not move forward. It's just hilarious to me. And, dude, being in the agency space, most agencies fail within the first year. It's very hard to run an agency. It's easy to make 10 grand a month, but keeping the money is the other problem. It's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. So it's like running an agency at the scale that we did it at, like, dude, it's freaking so hard. We're like one of like 15 companies on the Inc. 5000 list that are marketing. Like, dude, it's a hard industry to be in. Very difficult. And I feel like we catapulted quicker because of the personal brand for sure. But like, dude, and then our biggest play that makes us different is that I'm out here doing a ton of shit like locally. I'm doing events, I'm doing podcasts, like I'm being a part of the conversation. And we post so much content where you can't go online and not see my stuff. Like it's pretty hard not to. And we spend a lot of money on ads. Like we just have a good environment. We got a good culture. We got a good team. Like we have a really good establishment. Like, could we be better? Of course. We're like 70% to where the capacity that we should be. And I'm willing to admit that. Like we have so much more work to do. We have more training. We have more, KPIs to hit. We have more tracking. We just brought a new finance team to make sure that we're tracking even more metrics. Like what's our revenue per hour? What's our revenue per hour per department? Like all these KPIs that we're tracking to make sure that we're optimizing our time and efficiency. So all these things that mattered once we got to that 8-figure mark that didn't matter before that. So like, dude, we're always learning. But the biggest thing for us is like, we just don't run ads. Like we don't only do that. And we want people to get out of the phase of mind of like, yeah, this guy ran my ads. It didn't work. What else did he do? Oh, no, that was it. He ran my ads. I'm like, that's why the shit flopped. Like, he doesn't know, like, what does the setter say on the phone? What's the script? What's the offer on the back end? Are you doing funding? Like, what is going on? So, like, all these things that matter to business that business owners will push aside because ads are click, publish, make money. But running a real business requires a fuck ton of trauma and work, and people just don't want to go through it. So that's why they love the ad shit so much. It's like, oh, I heard that I can make a lot of money running ads. Like, bro, no, you can't. Once you have a good brand, a good ecosystem, good sales process, good team, good leadership, you know your KPIs, you know foundationally where your business is going, then you can run ads and put gas on the fire. But you haven't made a fire right now. You don't even have fucking firewood. Like, we got to build that first. So it's like this fake fallacy in the industry, dude. I push it in all the ads. The 4 key parts. I talk about it every single damn ad. And it's like, people still don't want to understand it because they just want to make money quick. And that's the problem with our world, dude, is like, mental health, all these things are declining. It's honestly has nothing to do with the people. It has everything to do with expectations. It has nothing to do with us. It's all about the social media shit and fast, quick wins and expectations. And then it results in people getting like completely let down because they set these crazy high expectations. They get shot down and now they're depressed. And that's why we see this shit in the world right now. Like, dude, there's so many rants that I could go on, but like, it's just this thing where people really need to take a step back and realize that like you're going into entrepreneurship. Like, if you look up the definition, it's literally somewhere where like you shouldn't be doing it unless you're insane. Like, there's just like no reason to wake up and be like, yeah, like let's just like get no guaranteed income and live in America where the average living cost is like $4,000 a month, and let's just like fucking hope this works. Like, that's literally what you're committing to. And it's just tough, dude. And I just think that people need a reality check, but no one wants to hear the truth because they'd rather be lied to. And that brings me to my last point. So like the last point is like people like being lied to. This is a big thing, dude. Like psychologically wise, it's why 54% of marriages fail. Like, people enjoy the actual tension of being lied to. So like, people don't want to hear the truth because they have to face the truth. But if you just keep lying, you're now on this like fishing hook of like what could be and what is the answer and what is the truth. Like, people actually enjoy being lied to. They like being shit kept from them because it's always something to chase. And like, that's why I think that people like going through the rat race of not just a job, but also like, oh, this agency didn't do well or these campaigns didn't work and blah, 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 because now they have something to complain about. And that's why I think people truly actually enjoy trauma. Like, they actually enjoy it. They have something to talk about. They get all their friends in a circle, they crack open a beer, and they just complain about shit. But if everything was swell and you actually did what you were set out to do, what would you talk about? Only positive stuff. And we were wired as a very young age on the news to just watch crap. Like, this person fall from a building, this dude gets hit by a truck, like everything on the news is bad. So it's like, like might as well talk about it in front of my friends and have a little social circle around it. And people enjoy the whole, like they love being lied to. Women do too. They're like, is he cheating on me? Is he not? The curiosity just keeps them there. It's like, but then once I find out, what do I have to go do? I have to go put in more work and find a new man. Like, they love being lied to. And I've seen that so frequently, dude. It's actually hilarious, but it's just something where like not everybody can win. It's the way it is.
That's so true. I mean, everything you just said there's a lot to unpack, but I really want to touch on that last thing. You talk about how much people's environments affect them, I think, is the major takeaway of that. It's like, if you're surrounded by a bunch of people who love to complain and all they want to do is have that next thing to complain about, well, what does that encourage you to do? The same thing, because that's now how you're bonding, right? Versus actually sitting down, addressing the problem and solving it. And especially when it comes to like taking ownership for your own issues, it's like, that's the number one thing that I feel like people love to do is point the blame finger. And it's like, the moment that you turn the finger away from other people and towards yourself, that's the moment that you can really start to take control of your life and get the results you're actually looking to have. And it's not being stuck in this blame game. So anyway, aside from that, great points there. Endorse everything you just said. When it comes to your relationships with people that come into your world in terms of your business and other relationships, what are you doing to nurture those relationships in order to keep them going and add that value and everything?
So, dude, like the big thing for me is when you take on this role in like society as the leader and the guy that people want to look up to, you just have to be okay with being the person that provides and protects, regardless if it's a woman or not. Like all my friends, dude, dude, they know that when they have something going wrong with their lives, like I want them to come to me because even though I don't or might not have that life experience, like, dude, I still want to be able to give you advice because I feel like I can help you beat the learning curve somewhat. And there's actually like a really cool like story from like my childhood that I heard, and I think it's really cool for people to understand. So like there's a story about this guy who was stationed in Japan, and he had a son, okay? And his son was rock climbing with his friend from school. So his son is rock climbing with his friend, they're in the mountain, and his friend falls and he actually gets injured. And they wind up, going to the hospital. He rushes them through the back door of the ER, and they actually go through the wrong entrance. And when they go through the wrong entrance, they pass this guy in the hall, and it was a janitor. And like this janitor, they didn't think anything of the guy. They wind up going to the ER through the back entrance, wrong entrance. They go to the actual, like, they find the real hospital lobby. They get taken in. The doctors can't fix this infection. For some reason, it's just like spreading really, really far, and they don't know how to fix it. So little did they know that they wind up bringing in the janitor. And the janitor was actually like a Baruku. He was a Japan untouchable. And, his ancestors were like grave diggers, slaughterers. This guy really like didn't dress well. He didn't offer the staff anything. And the staff knew that he had nothing to offer except when they needed him because he was right. And that's all that mattered. And they had to listen to him because he was right. And that's all they cared about. And that story always hits home with me because, dude, all my relationships were a predication of me realizing that, dude, I don't want to have to dress well. I don't want to have to look a certain way. I just want to be right. Like we all just want to be right. And that was always the biggest thing for me is that when I'm building relationships, I just want to be the person that people come to because they know they need my help because all that matters is if I'm right or not. And that's what happens in society. You're either right or you're wrong. There's no middle. There's no, oh, it could have went better. No, it's literally right and it's wrong. There's no middle, right? Or I tried my best. No, you did not. You suck. This participation trophy shit is terrible. And that's the problem is that you're either right or you're wrong. And we give people participation trophies. In relationships, there's no such thing as you either vibe with somebody or you don't. There's no middle ground. There's no like, oh, I like hanging out with them sometimes. No. If it was you enjoyed them, you would be over every single damn day. There's no middle ground. It's either yes or no. So the biggest thing the way I nurture relationships is just like I want to be somebody with an ambiance of someone that people can depend on, dude. Because at the end of the day, when you get older, like, do you want to be the person that people look up to, or do you just want to be somebody who like people came to you once in a while and you just like kind of floated around like a kite and like you kind of did a little bit of stuff? Like, who gives a crap? Like, I want to be somebody who like, dude, when I get older, or let's say you work with me and later on down the road, you're like, dude, I worked with Wojo years ago. Like, dude, that guy's a swell dude. Like, you always want to leave a good impression on people. You don't want to leave this impression of that was a bad person. Like I always want people to say that. Like all my sales guys, because like salespeople are the ones that do churn the most in a business. They go to other opportunities or whatever. Like all my sales guys, I'm very close with right now, and we have the highest retention right now for salespeople. Over 2 years now, we've had our sales guys, and like whatever happens in our lives, and as we go along our journeys, and like let's say they're 66, 65 years old, and they got kids. Like I always want them to be like, yo, dude, like I would literally like take a bullet for this guy. Like, dude, like I have people on my team who literally probably would. Like, it's a culture that I'm building because people know that I stand for them. Like, I'm always willing to invest in people. Like, I'm willing to send them to events. And it's just, I want to be somebody who people look up to. That's it. Like, I think that's how you should build relationships because most people build relationships with what's in it for me. And it's like, dude, that's not the way to look at shit. Like, you're trying to build in like personal relationships with other humans who have their own emotions, their own feelings, their own traumas, their own backgrounds, all this stuff, dude. And it's like, it's not easy to do. Like people are actually very hard to understand, hire, lead, nurture, and lead by example of. So like, I feel like these things are very looked over in society, and especially even like intimate relationships. Like, dude, I don't force things either. So like on the intimate relationship side, like, dude, I'm single. I've been single for God knows how long. Like, it's just a thing that I'm okay with because no one has piqued my interest enough. I'm not willing to just settle, just be like, yeah, like, sex is good. This is fun. Like, no, it's stupid. Okay. Like, don't do that. Don't force yourself. Because then you're going to resent yourself and your own emotions and your own feelings and decision making as you go like along life. A lot of people went like 3-4 years back, they were okay with being in relationships because they just wanted to bring their girlfriend to all the parties and they wanted to go out and they wanted to like have this thing to show off. And like, dude, if the person you're showing off is a headache, like who gives a shit? Like, it's just not worth it. So for me, I'm okay being single. I don't mind being single for a long, long time until I realize like who I actually want to be with. But right now, dude, I'm young. I'm focused on path and purpose. I'm focused on leading people, and that's all I care about.
We got into a lot of good stuff. I appreciate your honesty, first off, Jason, because I think that's important to lead with that. You're talking about relationships and people. I just want to back up something you really touched on. For me, it was important. As being a solopreneur, a lot of people watching, they're kind of doing the chief bottle washer, the cook, the whole 9 yards. And you really talked about that being a barrier for you. I know for me, it was for a long time. And for me, I didn't grow until I was able to help other people, bring other people on. That's when our growth took off in our business. So for you as well, like what was kind of that hinge point for you? What was that stressor? And going for one of the questions I really want to ask is, obviously we only have one or two unique abilities or superpowers or whatever you want to call it. So for you, what did you realize that, hey, I can only focus on these core things. I need to hire the rest of this out. When was that kind of your aha moment, or how'd you come about that, if you don't mind me asking?
So I think the biggest moment for me was like when I realized that I was just really good at marketing and making content and I wasn't good with hiring and like doing all that stuff. All the ops and the hiring was bottlenecking me from growing. So like I realized that I was an innovator. I was somebody who could bring marketing ideas to the table and I could execute them very, very quickly. So like a new funnel, a new offer, a new back-end program, something, right? That's my innovation. I'm able to take the business and say, all right, cool. This is what our clients are experiencing. We need to solve the problem with this. Like I'm an innovator. I'll release new products, new services, etc. I launch a lot of low ticket offers, webinars, speaking events, like all of this stuff to where I'm the person that drives the actual business and the tonality forward. And I just wasn't good with hiring. I wasn't good with putting people in this place of like, hey, here's how we're going to train you. Like, I have no freaking clue what I'm doing. I just know how to run ads and write good copy and write good landing pages and build offers. Like, that was always my expertise. And that's where the second part of this comes up, which is staying in your zone of genius. A lot of people just try to do all these things and they suck at 7 of them and they're good at 3 and they're like, it's fine. We're making money. But it's like, dude, replace the 7 and you could be 80% better at the 3. Like you're trying to do 10 things at once. They're all going to get done really, really badly. Like delegate. And people just don't want to delegate as a solopreneur most of the time because they enjoy making 10 to 30 grand a month. And that's where most of them sit. And they just enjoy the cash flow. And it's just like, okay, cool. Like, are you going to impact more people's lives? Yeah, I'm good right now. 10 to 30K a month. All right, cool. But like, dude, it's way more than that. Like you have to think bigger. That's the deal. When you can serve the masses, serve the masses. Like why play small? So, but back to your question, I just think that I would see a lot of tension with hiring and I was hiring the wrong people. And I was like, I have to really like not do this anymore. I think that was it. Like we just had a problem with a lot of employee turnover and that was like 3 years ago. And I was like, dude, I don't know ops. I don't know like interviews. Like I was doing 1-person interviews where I was just like one call. I was like, all right, you're in. And like, dude, now we do 3 interviews with a survey, like all this shit. So it's like building out better systems for hiring was really, really important for us. And yeah, dude, I just stick to the marketing stuff. Like that's where my brain is, and that's where my zone of genius is. And I had to learn that the hard way.
That's fascinating about the story of building out the hiring process, because a lot of people probably are still operating on that one call close kind of situation. They're like, oh, you tell me you have the skill set and your resume says it, so you're hired because I need the help. And it's fascinating because I always hear this comment all the time. It's hire slow and fire fast, right? And it's like you have to be on it and you have to say no to people, not just potential clients, but also the people that you want to work with. Because if you end up getting somebody on your team who's not pulling their weight, well, now you're responsible for pulling their weight as well. And you're just adding more of a burden to yourself and your team. And so I don't know if you have any advice on kind of that philosophy of the hiring slow and firing faster, any lessons that you could share with the audience?
Yeah, I mean, dude, biggest thing, like when we do hiring, we do a 3-person, like a 3-step interview. And also, do we do a lot of qualifiers on like LinkedIn? So for anybody who's listening, like if you're thinking about hiring like really high level leadership positions and people in your business who are forefront, like, dude, we've tried every platform. LinkedIn wins every single day of the week. I have yet to find a platform that's better than LinkedIn applications. So we hire on LinkedIn and then we run them through a survey funnel. So like they answer the 4 questions on LinkedIn, and then after that, we send them a link to fill out another survey. If they go through the 4 questions and they can't fill out the other 10-question survey, they're already not qualified because they're stupid. Like you can't fill out 10 questions, you're lost. So next. All right, cool. That's a one qualifier. Then we look at that survey, and based on the survey, there's filters in there where it's like, hey, we either send you to the calendar or we send you to a 404 error. 404 error just means like you're not getting to the calendar. So like that's what we send people to. And the biggest premise is once they get on the first call is all about goals, ambiance, tonality, professionalism. Like we want to see how you speak because you're talking to clients. Like if you hop on the Zoom and like, dude, our first thing is always your background. If your background is shit, we just end the call. Like, dude, people don't realize how important their Zoom background is. Like people really don't think about it that hard. I'm like, dude, you have like fucking kitchen in your background. Like, bro, this is not a go. You're not getting fucking hired. So that's it. And then the second we look for is like tonality, the way you dress, like just little things like that, you know. And then we talk about goals. You talk about your past experiences. We also look at your like your resume as far as, and dude, I'm not a big resume college person. I don't really give a shit about that. But what I do look for is one key integer, which is how long did you work at every single place you've worked at. If every place that you've worked at is less than 12 months, bro, you're not getting on a call. That means you're a 1-year turnover. You ask for a raise too soon. You don't quantify results, and you're an idiot. So, like, we're not going to hire you. So it's like, we look for people who have worked at a place for at least 2.5 years, 3 years. If you can't work somewhere for 3 years, like, dude, you're just lost cause. So we just, like, don't even, like, bother giving the meeting. Like, I've seen resumes where, like, there's 6 jobs in the last 5 years. I'm like, bro, you obviously have an issue. Like, you can't keep a goddamn job. No one quantifies you. Like, nobody. So you're not pushing results. You're not a results-driven person. So that's a big thing. And then also, like, we don't look at college. I don't care about that. But a big thing is, like, we've got interviews where people just, like, really just have, like, they just rant. And I mean, I rant, but I'm the owner, so I can do whatever the hell I want. But like, you know, people will rant on the Loom videos, and like, people will, when you hear people talk, if you can't hear confidence, that's already disqualifier. It means that they're not confident what they're saying, it means that they can't speak that same lingo to the client. When a client's asking a question about the future of their business, the last thing they want to hear is someone going, yeah, we'll go to the drawing board on that. I think we got to just like get with the team and see what's like. That's not what they want to hear. They're going to ask for a refund if they hear that shit. So, you know, it's like you got to have the right confidence piece too. Second is mostly tactical. So we give you scenarios. We go through, hey, like this client's experiencing X. What would you do? Here's a landing page. How would you fix it? Here's an ad. How would you improve it? Like we go through scenarios. And then the third call is all about your salary negotiation and do you want to work here or not? And that's really it. Going over payment structure, you know, how we pay biweekly, all these things. And then they say, hey, listen, I want, you know, let's say we say it's $6,000 a month, or like, I want 6,400. Okay. Why do you think that you should be getting $400 more a month? Like why? And also, why did you pick that damn number? Like what's going on? Like, are you not spending your money wisely? Are you not financially literate? Because that's where we're going to find out if you're financially literate or not. If you're not financially literate, you're not working in our company. Because then you're going to just like, you're going to tell clients to spend money. Your ass can't manage money yourself. So it's like, it's kind of hypocritical. Just stuff like that, dude. We look for little key interests like that. You know, we've had interviews where there's someone really qualified, but then they're like, hey, I need $9,000 a month. And I live in California. I'm like, okay, slow down. Number one is, why do you live there? Number two is, don't fucking live there. And number three is, why is your apartment $4,000 a month? You're living above your means and you don't have a job. You're a dumbass. Like, why did you do that? You're not smart. Next. And like sometimes, dude, we'll waste 3 interviews. It sucks, but it happens. Like, dude, if you can't sit there and live off 6 to 9 grand a month, like you have a problem. There's just something wrong with you. You either go to the club too many times, you have a weird vice, you bought a car you can't afford, like you give in to too many situations, you're not authoritative, like there's just something wrong with you. So it's like, yeah, no. And it's funny because people say, well, living expenses are so high in America. Like, how do you expect people to live off 6 to 9 grand a month? Bro, you can move to Orlando right now, rent a house for $2,200 to $2,500 a month, a small house. Okay, groceries, $600 a month, $400 a month. If you're spending that much on groceries, you're already lost. So, like $400, $600. Okay, your car is $500 a month. Like, dude, you can live off 6 to 9 grand a month. You just don't choose to because you get stuck into shiny shit. You start buying courses online. You buy a car that's $1,000 a month. You add on weird stuff when you go get food at the restaurant. You buy a filet mignon when you should just get the fucking sirloin. Like, you do things that are out of your means. It's your decision making that's putting you in the hole, not us. So yeah.
I like that. You really, I think it's just practical, but common sense is uncommon, is what I say a lot. And with
Oh,
John and I working with business owners, consulting, helping them scale their profits, I think the big thing that folks don't see is what's obvious. And I like what you guys talk about. If you're doing a good job with your clients, it's not about ads. That just adds fire and helps them take off in their business. But really, it's about working with the processes and helping them get going. And one of the things, so if you're doing a good job in your business, how I see it, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, they're going to make more money and be able to spend more to grow with you. So really, you're just pre-qualifying, just like employees, you're pre-qualifying your clients on the front end. How do you right away kind of get to that process with people and just let them know, hey, you got to be honest with them where they're at? How are you
yeah.
guys doing that in your business?
I mean, the biggest thing with pre-qualifying is just like seeing what's actually within budget and not stretching. So like, let's say business owners making 10 grand a month. Okay. Their margins at 10 grand a month are probably 45, 50%. Should be. Let's fucking hope. So now we have 5 grand a month to work with. Okay. Like if we have 5 grand a month to work with, do I really want to charge you? Cause like, okay, one of our starter packages is $2,600 a month. And then you got to spend $50 a day. So like we're taking 5 grand a month and you're spending $4,100. I don't really feel comfortable selling you that. That's fucked up. But if you told me, hey man, I have 75 grand in liquid cash in the bank, now I'm okay selling you because you have a means of back end cash to suffice the expense. You're not going to be, eating at McDonald's every day if I decide to run this package. So it's like we have to know that too. We ask people these questions and they just bullshit and lie. Like yesterday, dude, perfect example. What a freaking headache this guy was. This guy gets on a call. He puts on the application. Yeah, I'm making 100 grand and 250K a month. I was like, all right, cool, dude. Like, what do you do? He's like, I run a $7 a month trading group and then I upsell them to high ticket coaching. I'm like, oh, dude, that's sick. He gets on the call and he's like, yeah, I want the one-on-one. I'm like, all right, cool, dude. Like, here's the link. Just pay, like, whatever. His card failed 3 times. And I'm like, bro, how does your card fail 3 times? You're making 100K a month, like you're obviously lying. There's no way, dude. Like, and I don't say that to be an asshole, but like, bro, I've never had my card decline my entire fucking life. I don't know how your card declines for 7 grand. So he's sitting there and he's like, oh yeah, I paid down my credit card. And I'm like, what do you mean? You make 100 grand a month? Where's the money going? And then he shows his phone on Zoom and he's got $98,000 in credit card debt, another car with 60K, and then another car with 13. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I had to buy down. Like, I bought a lot of programs in the last 90 days, blah, 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 blah. Like, why are you buying all these programs? Fix your fucking business. Like, what is going on? You don't need programs. You need to be financially literate because you're paying over your credit line for your APR right now. You're on 28% interest. You are an idiot. And like, dude, the guy didn't want to hear it. And like, I tell people the truth, dude. I'll get on calls and I'm just like, dude, you're an idiot. And they're like, whoa. And I'm like, dude, you need someone to tell you. Like, that's not cool. Like, dude, we run an 8-figure business. The most my credit card has on it is maybe 75, 50K. And I have a $300,000 credit line. Like, why am I going that far? You can't pay down my credit card? And I set my credit card to do weekly payments reoccurring. It's 30K a week. It just comes out. And I'm just like, why are you, like, I'm so confused. You don't set, like, a thing to pay it? Where's the money? He's like, oh, I bought a car. I'm like, dude, people just don't have financial literacy. When people go online and tell you, yo, I make 7 figures a year, Just so everybody's very clear, 61% of businesses break even or lose money. Just because someone says online, I make $1 million a year, does not mean they make $1 million. They probably make fucking 30, 40 grand if they're lucky out of that million. They really don't know how to run a real business. It's really not like easy to keep money if you make that much, because then you get too excited about shit. You start buying stuff, you put yourself in debt, you get a car, like you're not smart. You're not doing debt to income ratio. All these little fundamental numbers that no one calculates because they're just excited about making money and they think that that's something that's going to solve their problems. It's not. So like, dude, biggest qualifiers are like, what's your cash on hand? Like, what's your sales process? Like, are you actually closing leads? Like, if I send you leads, are you going to drop the ball? And then 3 is just like, hey, we're going to spend this amount of money. Like, you're making X. I don't think this is a good fit. Because now you're going to make really short-term decisions to try to make the money back as fast as possible, which is going to make you a headache. So, like, I think those are the biggest things that we look for sure. But, like, dude, there's people who lie to us. There's people who lie to us on the phone about how much they're making so that they can be sold. Oh, my God, bro. We had this person last week. They're like, oh, we make $15,000 a month on Shopify. All organic. I'm like, okay, like, how much you profit? He's like, about 7-8 grand. I'm like, okay, like, we could do the package. Bro, he gets on the onboarding call and he's like, yeah, that's what we made last year. We're at 0 right now. And I'm like, fucking lied to us. Like, bro, you gotta be kidding me right now. So he lied to us to get sold. And I'm like, we gotta refund this fucker now. Like, you got no data. So we refund him, kick him out. And like, dude, that ruins my revenue per hour. It ruins all those things. People just want to lie to get sold shit. I'm just like, bro, now you're lying to buy stuff? What the hell's going on, dude? It's crazy. So just things like that.
But you're doing the right thing, though, letting them go. You're really doing the best favor to them because you keep them and take their money. All you're going to do is they're going to badmouth you later. They're not going to be successful. It's going to waste your time. You're not going to be able to help them. And you could have been pouring into somebody else, a high ticket client. So you're doing the right thing. I mean, your verbiage, I love it. You're calling people idiots. It's kind of shocking, but really you're just being honest. And most people aren't being honest, and they're going to take that money and let them get into more credit card debt. When in the day, you really can't help them. So you're giving them tons of value by being honest, where in the industry, most people aren't. In the ad space and in the marketing space, most people aren't honest. And John, I say no more people than we say yes to, because they just really aren't ready to do the things on top of paying us to do the right things to be successful. So I want to give you an attaboy for that. I mean, not everybody wants to hear they're an idiot, but some people need to hear it. And nobody's going to be honest. I think you're being honest in a world where it's probably pretty small if they're hearing the truth. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. Good point there, Chris. So one of the things that I like to ask toward the end of every episode that we get is we live in a day and age, and you mentioned it earlier about the fact that you've been on podcasts 3-4 years ago where people are hitting you up today, and that's because of the power of video that we get to experience in terms of technology today. So we're at this really cool point in human evolution where we can document and record conversation and things. And so the question that I like to ask is like, what is it that you could share with the world today based on all of your cumulative experiences that you've had to life to this point as your one value add to society when you're dead and gone, 100+ years from now? What would that thing be?
Probably one of my favorite life quotes was always, when you say yes to something, you say no to something else. I feel like that's probably the most important thing I had to learn and live by for sure. Like, all decisions we make on a daily basis, when you say yes or no to it, like, what are you saying yes to? What are you saying no to? I think people just don't think about that because they're so focused on the present moment that they don't think about the actual effects of decisions they make. Like, it's just like, that would be the biggest thing. Like, people make choices because of greed, instant gratification. They want instant shit. And they just don't want to sit there and be like, okay, if I say yes to this, like, what am I saying no to? Am I hurting someone's feelings? Am I doing this? Am I losing money? Am I losing time? Is my kid going to be mad at me? Like, they don't really think about that shit. They just don't. Like, dude, there's like this like big thing that I'm really into. Not really into, but like I just have a really strong belief about, which some people just like maybe don't agree with, which is fine because that's why they're lost. Is like, I have a lot of friends who I grew up with in New York, and like some of them had kids really early in life, and they decided to stick through with children and like do all the stuff of having the kid and going through the financial hardship and all these things. But like, dude, I'm a firm believer that like, if you can't take care of a kid, I see a lot of people doing this right now where they're having kids way too young, getting married way too young. Like, you got to think about that shit first before you do it. And I see a lot of my friends now that can't live the lives they want because they're struggling at a job, because they have a kid, they're paying all these bills. And like, dude, like, it's so crazy. It's something that I've really been like going through somewhat with my friends, because I have offered them jobs. Like, I'm like, yo, I'm trying to help you out. Like, your daughter's looking up to you. Like, you're doing all this random shit because you had a kid too young. Like, dude, I think that we just have to audit our decision. It all starts when we're younger, because that's where we make the most stupidest choices. And like, yeah, dude, it's great to have a family, and I don't know what that feels like yet, but like, I just wouldn't want to put another human in a position where I couldn't take care of them. And I feel like we need to think about that shit more, because there's overpopulation in our world. There's a lot of freaking poverty, and it's like the small decisions that we make in an inter-community standpoint, like, really dictate the success of our inner communities, cities, like all this shit, dude. And we just don't think about it. And I bring up that example because I grew up around a lot of that, which was like high school ratchet crap, teenage moms, like, dude, shit like that. Where I'm like, how do you do that? And I think that we really need to take a step back and be like, hey, like, what is in the best interest of us? If I say yes to this, what am I saying no to? If I say no to this, what am I saying yes to? And it's all like, that's the big example I bring up, because I just see it all the time with my friends, especially from New York, which are not really friends, just acquaintances, but like, it's just some shit that I see a lot. I'm just like, I feel really bad. I see moms and dads running around the supermarket with their kids, and like, you could tell they don't have money, and they're just like lost. So they're taking care of a kid, and they don't have the ability to actually provide and protect. Kid wants a toy, mom's saying no. Like, just get the fucking kid the toy. Oh, we don't have money for it. Well, why'd you have a kid then? The fuck was the point? Like, I just don't get it, dude. I see this stuff all the time, and it just like bothers the hell out of me. Like, if I have a kid, bro, my kid's gonna get a lot of shit. Gonna get the world, gonna get a lot of wisdom, and I'm not gonna be able to sit there and be like, yeah, like, I can't provide for my son. Like, I just don't get that, and that bothers the hell out of me. Because when I was a kid, bro, like, my parents did a lot for me, even though they didn't have a lot of money. Like, and I feel bad for my parents because they didn't get to retire that early because they were too busy paying for me and my sister's shit. Like, I didn't have a job at 12 years old. I wanted Kobe Bryant sneakers, bro. Like, $120 to my dad was a lot of fucking money back then. Like, people don't realize this stuff. So, like, when I have a kid, I don't want to have the ability to be like, yeah, I can't afford that. That doesn't make you a man. I really don't think it does. I think that makes you just a lackluster moron. I just do not agree with those things. And I just want people to be more confident in their choices and think about shit before they do it.
It's good.
Yeah,
I think. Go ahead, Judge John.
I was going to say there's a lot there to talk about in terms of like how I feel like a lot of the conflict there that people go through is the difference between scarcity mindset and abundance mindset. And a lot of people tend to limit themselves to believe like, oh, because maybe I don't have the money in my bank account, I'm not going to do the mental exercise of trying to figure out how it is that I can afford this. And so then they just allow the excuse of like, oh, I can't afford it, so I'm not going to do the extra effort to figure out the how, you know?
Yeah.
And then that just holds them back from accomplishing.
And then they use it as a complaining mechanism. Oh, well, we don't have a lot of money because there's not a lot of high paying jobs nearby. No, you're just not skilled. No one wants to hire you because you're fat. No one wants to hire you because you don't have any skills. No one wants to hire you because you don't know how to talk to people. Like, you're not valuable. And if you tell people that, they're like, oh my God, how rude. No, dude, this is a feast or famine world. Like, you're not valuable. The marketplace, you said, I want to make 10 grand a month. The marketplace said, nah, you're going to make 4. Like, that's what you're set up on, your value. You can't just make money because you're nice. Like, this is not the way the world works. You got to bring value to the marketplace, because value in the marketplace brings the economy forward. It moves GDP, it moves mountains, and it moves the fucking world. It's innovation. If you can't innovate, then you're going to get left behind. It's crazy. It's actually,
I think there's, like you said, a price to be paid, and people got to understand the value. But they want, you said at the beginning of the interview, the instant gratification, the social media mindset. I want it now, but it takes work. It takes a lot of work. Then you also got to have an idea that's going to work, not just work at something hard, but have an idea that's going to work and give you a good return. And most people don't reverse engineer think that. But man, this is not the direction I thought the podcast was going to go. But Jason, it was really good. We got a lot of good stuff. I love the mindset you have. I think being brutally honest is probably one of the attributes that most people don't have and don't give away. And I think by doing that, you really do more good than bad. People like to hear it. It's not always palatable, but I think it is what most people do need to hear to be able to grow and do something different with their life versus just staying where they're at and expecting something that would be a handout or because I have a degree, I should make six figures. That's just not how the world works. So I think the right audience, I do see your audience. That's probably why you're growing, because you are polarized. You are putting yourself out there and being honest. And I loved it. I really enjoyed our interview today. I thought it was awesome. So if people want to learn more about you or what they can, to connect with you, or if they're in a spot where they do need your help with your agency, with ads, how can they connect with you and be able to get more information about you?
Yeah, so they can go on Instagram at the Jason Wojo. And then if they want to book a call with us, they can click the link in my bio. They can also, just stay in touch with my content. I post 4 or 5 times a day, a lot of valuable content, ads and all this other stuff. So I think it's good for people to be able to connect and watch some of my content first before you start making choices in your business. Because I feel like a lot of the things that I have to say would help you beat the learning curve a lot faster. And then on top of that, I think that the other side is also I have a one-on-one program that people can DM me about and be able to not get locked in some agency contract first before learning more about their business and fixing their offers and their landing pages and all that stuff. So I feel like that'd be something that people could get a lot of value from for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you got a ton of value, and people really said you can lay out their sales processes, not just, hey, here's ads, good luck. What do you really need? And then they might not even need ads because they're not ready for it yet. Like you said, they don't have the fire going. The fire's not set yet. So really appreciate it, man. Appreciate your honesty. Appreciate you joining us. And I'm really grateful for your time today.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. Take care.